Welcome to the Lit Workshop.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about a very important technique that writers use to help strengthen and radiate their writing as they communicate information to readers. Let's think about how a writer might normally communicate an idea in plain terms. Look at this example. The writer writes, "Marigold runs fast." This detail conveys a meaning using word choice that is straightforward, common, and doesn't add any type of effect to the writing. But what can the writer do to convey this same meaning but in a more unique way? What can they do to add a little more effect for the reader? The writer can employ the technique of using figurative language. We will only talk about two of the many figurative elements: metaphor and simile. Now, what is a simile? Well, a simile is a technique that the author uses to communicate an idea by comparing two things that are different using the words like or as. Although these two things might be different, they have something in common. And what they have in common relates to the idea that the author aims to get out to the reader. Let's look at the following simile. She is as sweet as pie, and he runs like the wind. In the first example, the author is comparing two different things: the girl's sweetness and the sweetness of pie. We know that pie is delightful. It makes others happy when they eat it. At least, it makes me happy. The effect that this technique might have is that it can develop a merry mood when readers read it. Seeing word choices such as sweetness and pie can add to that kind of mood. You know another thing that makes the world happy? That little girl's sweetness or kindness. So the simile really helps us understand how sweet this young girl is. Let's look at the second example of a simile. The author is comparing two different things: the boys running and the wind. We know that the wind is swift, powerful, and fast. Do you know of another thing that is swift, powerful, and fast? Well, the boy when he runs, according to this simile. The effect that this technique might have is that it can develop an intense mood when readers read it. Seeing that the sentence mention ideas that connote powers such as running and wind can help add to that kind of mood. What do you think this simile is conveying? Marigold is like a motorcycle speeding through the morning breeze. Think about the two things being compared. They're different things, such as marigolds running to a motorcycle speeding through the breeze. Very different things. Now think about how those two things or ideas are similar. What do you think the simile is trying to convey? Now, I want you to pause for a second and I want you to note down on a sheet of paper, what do you think is being conveyed by these two things? Write your answer down and share with a family member or a friend. Now, let's continue. Let's look at how a metaphor can be used to liven up writing. A metaphor says that one thing is another. Not literally true. Do not take this comparison to be true. It doesn't use like or as to make this comparison. So let's look at the classroom was a zoo metaphor. The classroom is being compared to a zoo. These are two different things. Let's ask ourselves, what do we know about a zoo? Well, it is messy because of the wildlife. Animals are very active and uncontrollable. And noisy animals fill the zoo, so it's a pretty noisy place. After listing these things that we know about zoos, what do we think the author is trying to convey about the classroom through this metaphor? Well, maybe they're trying to say that the classroom is messy, noisy, and its occupants are uncontrollable, like the animals in a zoo. Remember, Similes and metaphors can make writing more interesting and colorful by creating vivid images in the reader's mind. Writers may use these techniques to help craft their writing into something unique and interesting, while still conveying important information to you. So when you're reading, make sure you be on the lookout for these similes and metaphors that the author will use. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. For more resources, visit thelitworkshop.store.